Hi, this is Clara for Blockchain of Things. Today, we will log a message into a Bitcoin transaction on the blockchain in order to test that you properly configured connectivity to the Catenis APIs. To continue with this tutorial, you must have first installed the Catenis Flow palette into Node-RED, which you can learn to do by watching the video at this link. And you must have configured a configuration node in Node-RED, which you can learn to do at this link. Now let's create your first flow with Node-RED running. Find the inject node and drag it into your workspace. Add a log message node to your workspace. Then add a debug node to your workspace. The gray boxes on the left and right side of nodes are called node ports. Nodes are wired together by pressing the left mouse button on the node's port, dragging to the destination node, and releasing the mouse button. Now, let's wire the nodes together so each node knows where to take input and where to send output. Connect the inject node's output to the log message node's input. Connect the log message node's output to the debug node's input. Now, let's configure each node so we can test logging a message on the blockchain. First, we are going to enter a payload message for the inject node, which it will inject into a connected node. Double-click the inject node to bring up the properties panel for this node. Click on the drop-down menu next to the payload property, which should be set to timestamp by default, and change it to string. This enables the node to inject the text you enter into the data field. Now, type in a message up to 75 characters long that you want to log to the blockchain and click Done. Note that the Catenis platform can log data of any size to the Bitcoin blockchain, from industrial machine codes to high-definition video files, by using IPFS. We will cover the additional steps needed to log data longer than 75 characters in a later tutorial. Next, we will set up the log message node and assign it to the virtual device that you created in the previous tutorial. Note that whenever we add a Catenis Flow node on the workspace, it is required to assign a virtual device that you have previously configured to the node so that it can authenticate with the Catenis platform. To do this, double-click on the log message node. Click the drop-down menu of the device property of the node and assign the device you created in the previous tutorial. Uncheck the Encrypt checkbox so we can see the message directly on the blockchain using a block explorer. Uncheck the off-chain message so a Bitcoin transaction is created in real time for testing. Note that when building an application, you should always use off-chain messages. This is because standard messages incur higher fees, cost more Catenis credits, and create unneeded Bitcoin transactions. Now click the Done button. Now we can test if your flow successfully logs your message to the blockchain. To do this, we must deploy the flow and then inject the message using the log message node. Open up the debug sidebar, then click Deploy. You should see a pop-up notifying you the flow was successfully deployed. Click the button on the left of the inject node to pass your message from the inject node to the log message node and through the flow. If successful, the message ID will print to the debug sidebar on the right. The message you just logged can now be retrieved from the blockchain. To do this, we will inject the message ID that was returned from the previous step into the retrieve container node. This retrieve container node will return the Bitcoin transaction ID and the location of the content of this message if successful. Now, add another inject node into your workspace. Add a retrieve message container node and another debug node as well. Double-click the inject node and change the properties field to string. Then enter the message ID that was returned when you logged the message. Configure the device parameter of the retrieve message container node to the same device you used in the log message node. Wire the inject node to the retrieve message container node, then wire the retrieve message container node to the debug node. Now click Deploy. Now click the button on the left of the inject node to send the message payload to Catenis and the Bitcoin transaction. You should see a JSON object output on the debug sidebar with the blockchain object containing name-value pairs. To see its content, click on the object arrow, then click on the blockchain arrow. It will expand and display name-value pairs for the transaction ID, which is labeled TXID, as well as the isConfirmed variable. TXID is the Bitcoin transaction ID and the location of where the logged message is stored on the Bitcoin blockchain. Now we can verify that the Bitcoin transaction has been successfully logged on the Bitcoin blockchain testnet by using a TestNet block explorer. For this tutorial, we will use the BitApps TestNet block explorer located at tbtc.bitapps.com. However, you can use any TestNet block explorer that displays the full Bitcoin transaction metadata, including the OP_return field. Enter your Bitcoin transaction ID in the search field and press the Enter button on your keyboard. Now take a look at the data text section if you're using the BitApps TestNet block explorer, which displays the Bitcoin transaction's OP_return, also known as null data. If you're using a different TestNet block explorer, look for the OP_return field. If you've successfully completed this tutorial, you'll see your message prepended by the letters CTN. Note that all messages added to Bitcoin transactions will have the letters CTN in the beginning because Catenis appends all messages logged to the blockchain with its prefix. With just these first few tutorials and with 0 lines of code, you can begin building applications that log data directly to the Bitcoin blockchain. In our next tutorial, you'll learn how to delete a virtual device from Node-RED by removing the device's configuration node.